Civil War in Britain. Good afternoon. I hope everyone's well today. Thank you for watching as always. A ex-military guy has come out and said that Britain is heading towards civil war, which will be a second civil war after the one in the 1600s. Now the guy in question who's come out and said this, his name is Richard Justin Kemp, a retired British Army officer who served from 1977 to 2006. He was a infantry battalion commanding officer. Among the assignments was Operation Fingal in Afghan from July to November 2003. Now, what he actually come out and said is quite revealing, because obviously he's been in hot wars, he's been in conflict zones, and he knows the telltale signs. I think all of us on this channel, and by and large in the country, would not want to see this happen. But if you've got military people calling this out and saying this is where we're headed, and this is due to weak leadership from politicians, we need to pause and take note.
No government, either the government now or no prospective government of the UK.
When he says no prospective government of the UK, do you think he's critiquing Reform UK? Do you think his comments are aimed directly at Reform UK and their wet response to Islam? Or do you think he's just saying in general?
Has the guts to stop it. If they want to take strong action to prevent the Islamification of the UK, then it's going to mean big trouble for them. They don't want trouble. They look 4 years ahead. They will kick the can down the road to somebody else. And I think the end result of that is very likely to be civil war in Britain.
We have the warning signs. I'm sure we can all remember the United Kingdom rallies. We can all remember the Prime Minister's response to the unrest in Southport. He picked his side. He sided with the minorities. He didn't side with the indigenous native people of these lands. Now, if we had a right of centre government in politics and they were dealing with civil law due to weak political leadership, do you think they would be on the fence policing both sides, or do you think they would come down hard and fast on the side that they find more problematic and easier to suppress?
The indigenous
physical civil war.
I'm not talking about the American Civil War.
No.
Armies. I'm talking about something more like Northern Ireland, but on a much more intensive scale, where you have the indigenous British and the some of the immigrant population and the British government all on three different sides fighting against each other. And I'd be very surprised if that doesn't happen, because there's no prospect of any government today, stopping this from occurring.
So we'll leave this here. Mass deportations would be a clue. Those who have not assimilated to British life or culture shouldn't be in the United Kingdom. We don't have any need to accommodate the whims of foreign or alien cultures. I want to play another clip. This is from Simon Jordan. He made these comments earlier in the week, so I'm going to play this clip now, because there's a lot of people in positions of power and authority, when I say power, not political, money men, that are waking up to where we're headed. So this is a welcome development. So I'm going to play this clip now.
Isn't colonization, but the underlying message and the underlying sentiments, and we can zero in on the colonization side of things, and I make the point again, right? If you walk around certain parts of this country and you look at certain towns, and I use the Aston Villa example as a particular case in point, where we have a particular community that in part wants to have Sharia law in this country, that in part decided that Israelis and Jews were not permitted to go into that particular part of the country. There is an argument that some people would make, not necessarily me, that looks like a form of colonization. Now, I wouldn't use those terminologies, and I don't think Jim Redcliffe should have done.
You mentioned Sharia law. It doesn't operate as a parallel legal system in the UK, has no binding legal jurisdiction according to the Home Office.
Certain communities,
British law.
The issue is that the pundit opposite Jordan isn't grasping is it's irrelevant if British law, either Scots or English law, is above Sharia law. if the people in those communities don't acknowledge that, if they live in siloed communities and they don't engage with the British state or the British establishment in any meaningful way, and the police allow them to police themselves, then it doesn't really matter if the legal principle of Scots or English law trumping that, because the communities are left to get on with it and do it themselves, which is why we have things like FGM in the UK. That's the point that he's missing.
Always takes precedence.
But certain communities would like that.
But it's important to fact check that.
I said certain communities would like it. I didn't say they're doing it. Certain communities would also like.
Oh, they are doing it. Mark my words, they are doing it.
To have first cousin marriage seeded into law in this country.
So we'll leave that there. So do you think this military guy is on point? Do you think he's being alarmist? Extreme? I think he's putting it across in a way that we can all get behind. We're being warned. We've had the canary in the coal mine, that was about 15 years ago. And this, unfortunately, due to weak governments, is what's left. This is what we're dealing with here. Now, if you like this video, and you think I'm right, make me aware. Comment, like, and subscribe. And let me know if you think that this military guy is right to be raising the alarm. I think so. Serious minded people have been saying this sort of stuff for years. There's going to be two factions. The invaders that nobody voted for on one side. You've got the patriots on the other side. And you've got the government somewhere in the middle trying to keep the peace over the multicultural utopia that's been enforced upon us. I don't want us to go the way of Northern Ireland. It's deeply, deeply scary prospect. And I say that as a fan of Northern Ireland. I do love that part of the UK. Anyway, I'll leave you to think on this. I'd appreciate comments and engagements. Let me know, comments, and I'll see you in the next video.